Hi, I'm Wes from the Daily Driver Project.
And I'm Tony with Blacktop Magazine.
We're going to talk about a little bit of everything, how we got started in the industry,
Right.
what each of our companies are about. So let's talk about Blacktop first.
Oh, wow, geez. Well, you know, Wes, I always wanted to know what Daily Driver Project's all about too. So I think this is going to be a lot of fun that we get to learn about each other some more, and you guys can learn about what we're all about. For me, you know, I have a graphic design background, and I taught graphic design for a while. And also, shoot, I was a chef back in the 80s, you know, so I was like doing creative things, right?
Yeah.
And I started Blacktop because my marketing and design firm was a little all over the board. I had food clients, finance, all that, and I thought, you know what, I really need to work with my passion.
Okay.
And my passion is classic cars, choppers, hot rods, all that kind of stuff. So I thought, well, let's see, in order to show the industry what I'm passionate about, I'm going to start a little magazine up and just showcase what's going on, from products to events and all the people involved, the cars, all that. So that's how Blacktop kind of got started.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Chef.
My wife's lucky. I cook all the time. So.
We love to follow our passions. So, I mean, that's kind of how the Daily Driver Project started is, I've been in cars for pretty much my whole career. And I started out as a mechanic back, you know, and then I worked my way into a sales position, and then I've run company, and I've worked for 20 companies or something like that. I never stay long. I get bored and have to move on.
Right.
But I was actually, how I started the Daily Driver Project is I was out of the industry, and I was out with a friend having lunch one day, and we were just talking, and I have always liked, I'm also, even though I work in cars and mechanical and it's not really creative, but I do have that creative side to me. And so I had started on like a side hustle doing web design for a few companies and did that for a bunch of them, Earhart Sales being one of them, which was my first client, which is still my client today.
All right.
Which is crazy. But yeah, so we did, so she was like, you know, you're out of the industry, do you miss it? And I'm like, yeah. And she said, why don't you start a website that shows like car shows and then cars around town, which is how I started the Street Spot, which was kind of why it's called the Daily Driver Project. It's about finding those guys driving those cars. Not necessarily daily, but there are a lot of daily guys that drive, you know, an old car every day. They just live that lifestyle. So that's kind of where the name comes from.
But it's like when you see a classic car on rush hour in the freeway, you know that's somewhat of a daily drive.
Oh yeah, well, and that's what's fun. Like, I mean, you know, for my day job, because
you know, I think back to the 70s a lot when I started loving cars, you know,
Sure.
It was late 60s, early 70s and all that. In fact, it was my uncle Doug, who he took a 64 GTO, painted it competition orange with black lace stripes in our garage at home in Santa Rosa. And ever since then, I'm like hooked, right? But,
yeah. What's funny is, at least for me, like a lot of people in the industry start young, like it's a family thing. And it was never a family thing for me. So I was in junior college figuring out what I was going to do, taking art classes and your English classes and whatever else. And at the time I had some piece of crap Nissan truck that got me back and forth to wherever I was going.
Right.
And I was like, oh, I should learn how to change oil. I should have never taken that class, because now I've been in the industry ever since. It was like, but it was, at the time, it was just a practical thing. Like, it was practical for me, but like, I didn't realize how much I would love being around these. Like, especially, I mean, I've gotten to work for some great big companies in the industry, and everything from, you know, like late model cars to, you know, big, I worked for Blower Drive Service, was one of my first jobs.
All right.
So, you know, they're like family to me.
Oh yeah.
So it's amazing how much, once you get into around car people, and that's how kind of we met through cars.
Yeah.
All of my friends I've met through cars.
Right.
I mean, and the passion that you get when you get around those people is so amazing to me. Like, they're so in love with the automobile. And what's fun is that because of what we do, sometimes we get access to things before other people.
Right. And I like the fact that when you're working with these bigger companies, you're part of something really grand and really big.
Yeah.
You know, I dig that. That's neat.
For sure,
you know?
For sure.
You know, in fact, we probably should say real quick where we're at. We're here at Canberra Speed Shop and Reed's Rod Parts here in Orange. So Wes, I mean, we're here having fun talking about cars. It's a beautiful Sunday morning. And so tell me, Wes, what's your favorite car story you've had?
I've had a lot of them. I think one of my favorites, and this is actually from a personal car, when I was married, we had a 63 Nova.
Okay.
And nothing fancy. It was literally my daily driver. And this is a weird story to be my favorite, but it's just funny. So I literally go on a job interview, super excited. I know I've landed this job, huge pay raise if I move to this company, really excited. I come to pull out of the driveway and I just romp on the gas. And suddenly the whole back of the car lifts up. And I'm like, oh my God, what was that? And I have a friend that's an engine builder, my friend Bobby, who is an amazing engine builder. He is paraplegic and builds motors. I have seen him do things that I didn't know the human body could do.
Right.
It changes your perspective on the world. But
Sure.
I digress from when I'm telling the story. So I'm like, holy crap, I busted the drive shaft is what I figured. When I bought the car and didn't change the drive shaft, we changed the transmission. The motor that we had in it had blew up after we had a couple months, so we put a new motor in it. It had new oil in the rear end, but nothing exciting. I get out and look underneath, the whole front of the pumpkin's gone. It actually split the pinion shaft in half.
Wow.
Yeah, which is thick. I mean, it's not a pinion shaft. It's small. It split the pinion shaft in half. So my friend Bobby, who built the motor, I literally picked it up and brought it to him and said, here, this is what your motors can do. Now, he's an ex-drag racer and everything, so he was just but that's probably my favorite funny story and I've broken a few cars. I think anybody that drives old cars has had something go wrong.
Oh, yeah.
So that's probably my most catastrophic failure, but also the funny thing, even when AAA, I said, you got to send out a flatbed, and the driver's like, I told him, you're going to have to wire up the drive shaft, and I told him what happened. He's like, no. And I showed him the pin shaft. He crawled into the. No way.
Oh,
yeah.
That's some decent power right there.
Oh yeah. Well, and who knows how old that rear end was original. So I don't know if it was ever rebuilt. It could have been, it was a 63, and this would have been, I don't know, 2000. Right. So that's a few years on that rear end if it was original. So, well, how about yours?
Oh, my story, it goes fast. I can talk about how going to pick up my junior prom tux, my VW Bug blew its engine and all this oil going down. And the guy says, well, because you're out of oil. I go, it all drained on the parking lot at the mall, But I think one of my favorite stories is when Craig Majorana came out and helped me rewire my car. It was about to just burn up this car. And so going through the car and tearing out all the wiring, and he even brought his wife Christina over. We're all working on the car together. And that was, not only does it need to have new wiring in your car, your car's not gonna burn up, but the fact that I've never done anything like this before. I've never went through auto tech classes or auto shop classes at all. And to do things that you've never done that most people are really scared of doing. I mean, a lot of guys, I'm not gonna touch the wiring.
Yeah, oh no, totally.
And you just get that sense of accomplishment. And you can do anything. We've done lots of stories of guys laying on the back in their garage or their driveway, building cars. I love that. I love that, especially when they get the kids involved.
Oh yeah.
Oh. God,
well, and it's amazing to me. I have some friends over the years that have moved into bigger houses. But when they first started, they were building in their driveway, one car garages. Where there's no space. Right. I mean, I have a friend that he showed me pictures. He's older than I am, but he actually tied the body of his Model A to the roof so he could work on the frame because the one car garage was too small. So he literally chain hoisted the body up all the way up to the ceiling of his one car garage. But that's the other thing is that the automotive guys are definitely they're just going to get it done. There's a definitely can-do spirit in this industry, which is why there's so many aftermarket companies, which is why there's so many hot rods, especially in Southern California. I mean, the weather's good.
So what's next for Daily Driver Project? What is it that you see where you're going for next?
So I hope car shows come back.
I'm sure they will.
That's a big part of my content. I hope car shows come back. They will. I mean, they're already being scheduled for next year.
Is there a plan for a Daily Driver Project car show?
No, I am involved actually in a couple car shows.
Okay.
I do a car show. It's the third Sunday of every month, which isn't happening right now, of course, but it's called Wheels and Waves. I do that with Fireball, my buddy Fireball. Yeah, Fireball and Ken. And then we also do, I'm not as involved, but I do stuff with the Murphy Auto Museum up in Oxnard.
Oh yeah.
And we do Muscles and Mojo, which is the first Sunday of every month. So
I got to get up there. Well, I like the museums though. I like, the ADM, the Peterson, all those.
Yeah. And that's why I like, that's why I got involved with the Murphy, is the Murphy, through just a weird coincidence, I found the Murphy years ago because I went to the Mullen, where the Murphy used to be was literally down the street from the Mullen Museum. And the Mullen Museum is Peter Mullen's collection of Bugattis and French Art Deco cars.
Right.
And so I was like, oh, the Murphy's here. I finished early. I'll just drive down the street to check out the Murphy. So I went and checked out the Murphy, and it was great. Quirky, weird cars, just a fun collection. And so I didn't get involved with him then, and then like 2-3 years later, just how things work, I ran into the owner and with Fireball, and suddenly we're doing stuff with him all the time and do a car event with him now. I mean, I never would have. Yeah, and that's the other thing, is that the connections that get you with this. So, I mean, but as far as getting back to what the Daily Driver Project, for right now, I think I'm just going to stick with what I'm doing. I really like what I'm doing. I hope to grow my YouTube channel. I hope the site grows. I'm always modifying stuff. I mean, that's a thing. I don't know if I'm always tweaking my website.
Right.
I'm always like figuring out what video I'm going to do next. I always experiment a lot of times in my videos and just do some odd things and whatever. It's just, because for me, I just want to push my craft, if that makes sense, of being a photographer and a filmmaker. I want to push that farther. So what about you, Tony?
Well,
what's your future?
For me, I really like the educational stuff. I've been doing work with the Historical Society of Long Beach and Long Beach Heritage, and I love going to museums like the Automobile Driving Museum and all that. But also I like working with the kids. So we have that series Kid Wrencher that I really dig. I think it's really kind of grown along. We got kids from New Jersey, my nephew here locally, all kinds of kids out there that people are, they're just enjoying, younger people enjoying the car craft. I think this is really, really far out. So doing some of that, a lot of the same, but just kind of building up that. I'd love to do a series of real educational type videos for people about the automotive industry, about even just wrenching and tools, the right tools to use. So,
yeah.
But I want to go back on a point you mentioned about watching Chip and these guys, the A-Team, going at it. That's what I love about having my office studio here at Canberra, is because when I'm working on the computer and not another Instagram post or whatever, I can easily get out of my office. I do it almost every day and go over to the fab shop or into the final assembly room next door here and just watch these guys go at it. And I love when the cars are on the lift. I just get so enamored by looking at the bottoms of cars. And these cars, I mean, geez, they're beautiful.
When I worked at Harves, I mean, we built, like, one of the first cars I worked on was a 200-mile-an-hour four-wheel drive truck to go on the autobahn that was getting shipped to Europe. Yeah, so, like, but that's the fun thing is you walk into a shop like this, or a shop like Harves, or any of the other shops around, and then you get to see just some of the craziest things on the planet.
Well, I know this has been a whole lot of fun for us. For me, I know for sure, and I hope you guys dig it too. Wes, I look forward to seeing you at other events. I know you're always working with Mitzi Valenzuela.
Yeah, so my friend Mitzi, I do her pinup pool parties, which is a thing that she does at her house all the time.
Oh yeah.
Funny, I am not a photographer for those events. I am actually, I'm assistant to her, and my friend Roxy Rocket, who is a pinup model, who was the 2018 trophy girl for Grand National Roadster Show.
Well, and she's cover girl one of the last issue of Blacktop Magazine.
Yeah, so that's true. She's with Tracy Fisher's. So good tie-in right there. But she calls me the model wrangler, which I always thought was hilarious. Had a blast.
Cool. Well, it's been great. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
And all right. And thank you all for watching, and be sure to subscribe to both our channels. This is pretty darn cool stuff.
I agree. Subscribe to Tony's and my channel.
Right.
It'll be awesome.
Right.
So.
All right, very good. No
All right.
fist bump. All right, everybody, take care.
Thanks.
All right, thank you for watching that fuel-fed feature. Want to see more? Be sure to visit blacktopmagazine.com. And while you're there, subscribe to our e-newsletter. We have fuel-fed features each and every month delivered right to your inbox. All right, thank you for watching.